The sky over the broken city was red with fire and smoke. Buildings were falling like weak sand walls. The ground shook again and again as the alien army moved forward. People screamed and ran in every direction. Ships burned in the sky. Hope was dying fast. At the center of this nightmare stood the alien vampire queen. She was tall and calm. Her dark wings moved slowly behind her. Her red eyes watched the world burn without any emotion. Her army of dark soldiers covered the land like a black ocean. Every race that had come to fight her was now running away. Strong aliens, smart warriors, powerful machines. All of them turned their backs and escaped. Fear ruled every heart. No one wanted to face her anymore. Human soldiers were also falling back. Their last defense line was breaking. Commanders were shouting to retreat. Ships were leaving the ground. This was the end of the battlefield. Then something strange happened. One human did not run. While everyone moved back, one figure walked forward. Slow steps, calm breath, weapon in hand. He was alone, but he did not stop. The alien vampire queen noticed him. Her eyes focused on that single human. She felt something new. Not fear, not panic. Only silent fire. She lifted her hand, and her army stopped moving. The battlefield became quiet. Only fire sounds and broken metal could be heard. The queen looked at the human warrior and smiled. A cold and cruel smile. "A human still stands," she said in a dark, soft voice. "Why do you not run like the others?" The human warrior stopped walking. He looked up at the queen. His armor was broken. His suit was burned. Blood dropped from his arm, but his eyes were clear. "I'm not here to run," he said in a calm voice. "I am here to stand." The queen laughed quietly. Her wings opened slowly. "You stand alone," she said. "You will fall alone." The human slowly removed his helmet. His face was young but tired. His eyes showed deep pain and deep fire. He looked at the ruined city behind him. He looked at the dead ground around him. Then he looked back at the queen. "Today," he said, "humanity does not run." The queen's smile faded for a moment. She lifted her hand again. Dark energy gathered around her fingers. The air became heavy. The ground cracked under her power. From far away, hidden cameras watched this moment. Human ships that were leaving slowed down. Soldiers stopped and turned back to look. No one could believe what they were seeing. One human was standing against the queen. The queen pointed her finger at him. A dark wave moved forward fast like death itself. The human warrior raised his weapon. A small shield of blue light opened in front of him. The dark power and blue shield crashed into each other with a loud blast. The human was pushed back several steps. His boots broke the ground behind him. His body shook. Pain ran through him. But he did not fall. The queen's eyes narrowed. "This world already belongs to me," she said. "You cannot change that." The human took a deep breath. He felt the pain in his chest. He felt the weight of fear around him. But he also felt something stronger rising inside him. The memory of home. The memory of lost people. The memory of a world that trusted humans to stand. "This world still has humans on it," he replied. "And as long as one human stands, it is not yours." Behind him, far in the sky, human ships slowly turned back toward the battlefield. Soldiers watched in silence. Hearts beat fast again. Fear was still there, but something new was rising with it. The alien vampire queen looked at the human for a long moment. Then she slowly smiled again, very slowly, very calmly. "Then come," she said. "Show me what one human can do." The human warrior tightened his grip on his weapon. The wind moved across the broken land. Fire burned on both sides, and the battlefield waited for the first true strike of the war. The battlefield stood frozen for a short moment. Fire burned in silence. Smoke moved slowly in the air. The queen and the human warrior faced each other without moving. But inside the human warrior's mind, the past began to rise. He remembered a sky that was once blue. He remembered a world that once had oceans, trees, and light. He remembered a peaceful human planet called Aurelian. Years ago, that world was alive and full of hope. Children played in open fields. Ships moved in the sky like birds. Cities shined with human dreams. The warrior was only a young soldier back then. He had a family. He had a small home near the ocean. He had no idea that death was already on its way. The alien vampire queen arrived without warning. The sky turned dark in 1 hour. Her army fell from space like black rain. Defense systems failed one by one. Human cities burned in minutes. The warrior remembered running through fire. He remembered holding his younger sister in his arms. He remembered how she cried when the ground started to shake. He remembered the loud scream when the Queen's dark ships destroyed the last escape tower. He lost his family that day. He lost his world that day. And something inside him also died with them. After that, he joined the human war force. Not for power, not for fame, only for one reason, so that no other child would see the same sky fall. Years of hard training followed. His body grew stronger. His heart grew colder. Pain became his second skin. Fear became something he learned to control. He fought on many lost worlds. He saw many races fall and run. He saw many armies break under the Queen's shadow. But he never stopped moving forward. Back in the present, the Queen slowly walked across the broken ground. Each step cracked the land under her feet. Her wings created strong wind. Her shadow covered the human warrior like a dark tower. "You carry much pain," the Queen said softly. "I can taste it in your blood." The human warrior did not answer. His hands were shaking, not with fear, but with power building inside his body. The Queen lifted her arm again. Dark energy moved across her skin like living fire. The ground behind her army started to break and float. Even her own soldiers moved back in fear. From far away, human commanders watched in shock. They knew the Queen was starting to use her real strength. They knew one human should not survive this moment. The Queen released her power. A massive dark wave rushed toward the warrior like a moving wall. The sky screamed as the power passed through it. The ground was cut open in straight lines. The human warrior moved at the last second. He jumped to the side. The dark wave passed where he stood just a moment before. Everything there turned into dust. He rolled across the broken ground, quickly stood up, and fired his weapon at the Queen. A beam of blue energy hit her chest. For a second, the Queen moved back one step. Her eyes widened in shock. That had never happened before. The alien army froze. They had never seen their Queen pushed back even once. The Queen touched the place where she was hit. Dark smoke rose from her armor. Slowly, she smiled again. But this time, the smile was filled with anger. "So," she said coldly, "you're not just a normal human." The warrior felt his power system screaming inside his suit. Energy levels were rising fast. His body was reaching its limit. But he did not stop. "I'm not special," he said. "I'm just human." Behind him, far across the battlefield, human ships finally stopped running. Soldiers turned their weapons back toward the Queen. Fear was still alive, but now it was fighting with something new called hope. The Queen spread her wings wide. Dark lightning moved through the sky. She lifted both arms toward the stars, preparing something far worse than before. The human warrior stood alone in front of her, his weapon glowing, his body burning with pain, his heart burning with purpose. The real battle was about to begin. Dark lightning twisted across the sky as the Queen raised both her arms. The battlefield trembled like a living thing in pain. Her army stepped back in fear. Even they knew what was coming next. The human warrior stood still. His weapon glowed brighter. Warning lights flashed inside his suit. His body felt like it was standing inside fire. From far away, human commanders shouted into broken radios. Ships tried to lock weapons on the Queen, but her dark energy blocked every signal. The battlefield was now locked with only 2 fighters at its center. The Queen brought her hands down. A tower of dark force fell from the sky. It crashed toward the human like a falling world. The sound was so loud that the sky split with fire. The warrior ran forward instead of back. Dust and heat burned past his body. He jumped through the falling dark power. rolled across the broken ground, and came out of the smoke, racing straight toward the queen. The alien army gasped in shock. No one had ever charged into the queen's attack before. The queen's eyes widened slightly. She swung one wing forward like a blade. A sharp wave of dark air cut through space toward the human. The warrior slid on the ground, felt the wind tear past his helmet. His shoulder armor broke apart in sparks. Blood ran down his arm again, but he did not slow down. He lifted his weapon with one hand, fired 3 fast shots of blue light. The blast slammed into the queen's side and wings. Dark smoke spread through the air. For the first time in her long reign, the alien vampire queen screamed in anger. Her scream shook the ground. Her army dropped to one knee in fear. "That pain," she shouted. "That power." "This is what humans carry," the warrior replied. He forced himself to stand taller, even as his legs trembled under him. The queen moved faster than before. In one flash, she was in front of him. Her claw passed through the air and struck his chest armor with crushing force. The warrior flew back across the battlefield. His body smashed into broken metal and stone. The ground exploded around him. Pain flooded his ribs and spine. Human soldiers cried out over comms. Many thought he was dead. Many closed their eyes. Smoke rolled across the field. Fire flickered across his broken armor. Then slowly, the human warrior moved again. He pushed himself up with shaking arms. One knee touched the ground. Blood dropped from his mouth. His vision burned. His ears rang with silence. The queen stared at him in disbelief. "You should be dead," she said quietly. The warrior lifted his head, coughed once, and spoke through pain. "Humans do not break so easy." Behind him, something changed in the sky. One human ship that had stopped earlier powered up its weapons again. Then another. Then 10 more. Human lights began to rise across the darkness. The queen felt it and turned slowly. Her eyes moved across the returning human fleet. Her smile faded just a little more. The warrior used this moment. He pulled a small glowing core from his suit. The last hidden weapon. A weapon powered by pure human energy. Warning alarms screamed inside his armor. Energy levels crossed all safe limits. His suit begged him to stop. He looked at the queen, at the army behind her, at the sky full of fear and fire. "For humanity," he whispered. He crushed the glowing core into his weapon. Blue light exploded around his body like a star. Power rushed through his arms and chest. The pain disappeared under a wave of strength. The queen stepped back for the first time with clear fear in her eyes. "What have you done?" she asked. The human warrior lifted his weapon, now burning with pure white and blue fire. His shadow stretched across the broken battlefield. "I chose to stand," he said. The light from his weapon grew brighter. The air screamed with power, and the first true strike against the alien vampire queen was finally ready to fall. The blue and white light around the human warrior burned like a living star. The broken land reflected its shine. Even the dark sky above seemed to pull back from that power. The alien vampire queen raised one arm to shield her eyes. Her wings pulled slightly inward. For the first time, real caution moved through her face. The warrior took one slow step forward. The ground melted under his feet. Energy moved through his body like fire and metal. His pain faded into pure focus. "Impossible," the queen whispered. "No human should hold that power." The warrior did not answer. He only lifted his weapon higher. The light around it grew wider and louder. The air shook with pressure. He fired. A wide beam of white and blue energy rushed across the battlefield. It tore through the dark air like a blade through smoke. The queen crossed her wings in front of her body. The beam smashed into her shield with a violent crash. The explosion pushed her back several steps. The ground broke under her feet. Dark fire burst in every direction. The alien army cried out in panic. They had never seen their queen forced backward. Fear ran through their lines like a fast disease. The queen screamed in rage. Dark power burst from her body in rolling waves. The sky turned black again. The light of the warrior struggled against the growing shadow. From far away, human ships watched in shock. Then suddenly, one human commander broke the silence. "All ships," he shouted. "Advance!" Engines roared back to life. Human warships that had once been running now turned forward with full force. Blue and silver lights filled the sky. One by one, human fleets returned to the battlefield. Inside those ships, soldiers screamed with fire in their voices. Fear was still in their hearts. But now courage stood beside it. The queen felt the shift in the battle. She turned her head slowly toward the returning fleet. Her red eyes narrowed with anger. "So the weak return," she said coldly. "Good." She lifted both hands. Dark energy rose behind her like a great wall. The space behind her twisted and cracked. Her voice echoed across the battlefield. "I will end all of you together." The warrior saw the growing storm of power. He knew that this next attack could erase everything. Even his new strength might not survive it. Behind him, human ships moved into attack position. Weapons locked. Energy charged. Human crews waited for his signal. The warrior stood between two worlds. Behind him was humanity. In front of him was their end. He opened his comm channel. His voice moved across every human ship, across every frightened heart, across every shaking hand. "Humans," he said, "we ran once. We lost once. But today is not that day. Today we stand together." Silence filled the human fleet for a short breath. Then one by one, voices answered back. "Calm, strong, ready." The queen laughed loudly. Her dark storm grew larger. The sky screamed as her final charge built higher. "You cannot stop a queen," she shouted. The warrior lifted his blazing weapon toward the stars. His armor cracked under the pressure. Blood ran again from his wounds. But his hands remained steady. From every human ship, power began to rise. Thousands of weapons charged at once. The battlefield filled with rising light. Blue, white, silver, and gold. The queen released her storm. A wave of pure darkness rushed forward like the end of all worlds. At the same moment, the human warrior screamed. Now, every human weapon fired together. The sky turned into a wall of light. Human fire and dark power crashed into each other in a sound that broke space itself. The explosion swallowed the center of the battlefield. Light and darkness fought like living giants. The ground vanished under the force. The sky burned into broken color. Inside the storm of power, the human warrior ran forward through fire and shadow, straight toward the queen. If he fell here, humanity would fall with him, and the war would end in darkness. The explosion of light and darkness slowly faded into heavy smoke. The battlefield was silent again for a few heartbeats. Fire burned under broken ground. Metal fell from the sky like rain. Inside the smoke, the human warrior moved forward with slow steps. His armor was cracked and burning. His breath was heavy. His vision shook, but his weapon still glowed in his hand. From the far side of the smoke, a cold laugh echoed. The alien vampire queen walked out without fear. Her dark armor was broken in places. Black smoke rose from her wounds, but her eyes were brighter than ever. "You and your fleet tried," she said calmly. "Now you will watch them die." She lifted both hands high into the sky. The dark clouds above twisted into a giant circle. Red light opened at its center like a giant eye. All the air was pulled upward. Gravity itself began to shake. Human ships in the sky started to lose control. Some crashed into each other. Some were pulled into the dark storm. Screams filled every human channel. The warrior looked up and understood the truth. This was not just an attack. This was a power meant to erase entire worlds. Behind him, human fleets broke apart. One ship exploded into fire. Another was torn in half by dark force. Human soldiers cried out in fear. The warrior felt his heart sink. For the first time since the battle began, real doubt touched his soul. Even his new power felt small in front of this storm. The queen stretched her wings wide. Her voice rolled like thunder across the battlefield. "Witness your end," she declared. The dark storm pulled harder. Ships spun out of control. Human weapons failed one by one. Hope began to slip from human hands. The warrior dropped to one knee under the weight of the force. His weapon shook violently. His suit screamed with warning sounds. Energy levels fell fast. Blood ran from his nose and mouth. His hands trembled. His vision faded at the edges. In the dark sky above, one human ship tried to escape the pull. Its engines burned with full power, but slowly it was dragged into the red eye and vanished without sound. A quiet cry passed through the human fleet. Many soldiers believed it was over. Many lowered their weapons. Many closed their eyes. The queen smiled in victory. "You stood alone before," she said. "Now you will fall alone." The warrior lowered his head. His weapon slipped from his hand and hit the ground. The dark storm pulled harder at his body. His armor began to tear apart. For one silent moment, it truly looked like humanity was finished. Then inside his fading mind, a voice returned. A soft memory from long ago. His sister's voice on the old ocean world. "Stand up," she had once said, "even when you are afraid." His shaking hand slowly pressed into the broken ground. His fingers closed around dust and metal. His body moved inch by inch against the pole. He lifted his head again. Blood covered his face. His eyes burned with new fire. "I am afraid," he whispered, "but I'm still standing." With a broken cry of effort, he pushed himself back to his feet. The queen's smile faded in surprise. The warrior reached for his fallen weapon, pulled it back into his hand. The light inside it was weak, but it was still alive. Behind him, across the broken sky, a few damaged human ships slowly turned their guns back toward the queen. Generators burned at unsafe levels. Pilots stayed in their seats even as fire filled their ships. One by one, human voices returned to the comm channel. Weak, shaking, but still alive. "We are here. We are not done." The queen looked around in disbelief. Her storm still burned, but it no longer felt like total control. The warrior lifted his weapon again, even as his body screamed in pain, even as death pulled at his back. "Neither am I," he said. The dark storm still pulled at the sky and the ground. Red light spun like a giant eye above the battlefield. Human ships burned and broke in the distance. Yet small points of light still refused to go out. The warrior stood with shaking legs. Blood ran down his armor. His breathing was slow and painful, but his heart beat louder than the storm. The alien vampire queen looked at him with cold anger. "You should already be dust," she said. "Why do you still stand?" The warrior did not answer with words. He closed his eyes for one short moment. Inside his mind, he saw faces of lost worlds, falling cities, running children, burning skies. He remembered every human who had ever fallen, every battle lost, every life taken by fear. Then he opened his eyes again, and something changed inside them. The pain was still there. The fear was still there. But now something greater stood above both. The light inside his broken weapon began to move again. Slow at first, weak like a dying flame, then stronger, brighter, hotter. His armor started to glow with thin lines of white fire. The cracks in his suit filled with light. Energy no longer came from the weapon alone. It now flowed from his body. From far away, human soldiers watching through broken cameras felt it. Something deep inside their chests responded to the rising power. Fear loosened its grip. Hands stopped shaking. The queen stepped back one slow step. Her wings pulled inward without her command. For the first time, true doubt crossed her face. "That power," she whispered, "it is not from your machine." The warrior took one slow step forward. The dark storm above trembled. The pull on the battlefield weakened just a little. "It is from us," he said. "It always was." He lifted his weapon high, but its light no longer burned as pure blue. Now it burned with white fire mixed with gold, the color of every human while standing together. Across the battlefield, Damaged human ships felt their systems rise again. Broken lights came back to life. Weapons powered up without command. Engines roared through smoke and fire. Human pilots looked at their screens in shock. Energy was flowing into their ships from an unknown source. Not from reactors, not from fuel, but from something deeper. "It is him," one soldier whispered. "He is sharing it with us." The queen screamed in sudden rage. The dark storm above her twisted in wild fury. She threw both arms forward, releasing all remaining dark power at once. A massive wall of shadow rushed across the battlefield, larger than any attack before, meant to erase every human light in one final strike. The warrior did not move back. He planted his feet into the broken ground. His armor burned like a living fire. Every wound on his body screamed, but his soul stood unbroken. Behind him, hundreds of human ships moved into one line, damaged, burning, but still flying. Human voices filled the channel at once, not with fear, but with calm strength. "We stand. We fight. We are human." The warrior screamed with them, his voice tearing through the battle noise, his weapon releasing a beam wider than any before. A river of white, blue, and gold light. Human ships fired together with him, thousands of weapons joining into one single strike of will. The sky turned into a road of light. The queen's dark wall crashed into the human attack. Light and shadow met with a sound that shook stars. The red eye in the sky began to crack. The pull of the storm broke suddenly. Gravity returned in a violent wave. Ships stabilized. Soldiers cried out in shock and hope. Inside the clash of power, the warrior ran forward through the storm of light, straight toward the queen once more, his body burning, his heart blazing. The queen watched him come with wide eyes. For the first time in her endless reign, she did not smile. The storm of light and shadow cracked open across the sky. Broken colors burned through space like fire through glass. The red eye above split into pieces of fading darkness. The pull of the queen's storm died in one long, shaking breath. Inside the fading power clash, the human warrior ran forward without fear. His armor burned with white and gold fire. Every step shattered the broken ground. Pain screamed through his body, but his soul moved faster than pain. The alien vampire queen floated in the center of the collapsing storm. Her wings were torn. Her dark armor was breaking apart. For the first time in endless war, her face showed real fear. "You cannot win," she shouted in rage. "You are only one." The warrior did not slow his run. He lifted his blazing weapon high. "I was never alone," he answered. Behind him, the sky filled with human fire. Thousands of ships burned with shared light. Human soldiers cried out in one united voice. Their fear had finally broken. The warrior jumped through the last wall of dark fire, his body cut by shadow and heat. His armor shattered from the force, but his weapon remained whole. He swung it with every last piece of strength left inside him. The strike landed across the queen's chest in a blast of white and gold light. The battlefield fell silent. For one endless moment, nothing moved. Then cracks spread across the queen's body like breaking glass. Light poured out from inside her dark shell. Her wings froze in place. "This is not possible," she whispered. Her voice faded as the light grew stronger. The warrior stood before her, barely able to remain on his feet. Blood covered his face. His armor was gone, but his eyes were clear. "It is human," he said. With one final shock of light, the alien vampire queen shattered into burning shadow and vanished into nothing. Her dark army froze across the battlefield. Then one by one, they collapsed in a lifeless dust. The war ended in quiet fire. Across space, human ships stopped firing. Silence spread through every command deck, every ruined battlefield, every damaged world. Then slowly, one human voice broke the silence. "We are still here." Another voice joined, then another, then thousands more. Human voices filled the dark sky with trembling relief and rising joy. The warrior dropped to one knee as the power inside him faded. The white and gold light slowly disappeared from his body. Pain returned like a heavy wave. Darkness pulled at the edges of his vision. Human ships rushed toward him from all sides. Medical teams prepared emergency drops. Commanders shouted his location with shaking voices. Before he fell, the warrior looked once more at the peaceful sky. For the first time since the war began, no shadow moved above it. He smiled weakly. The galaxy would remember this day, not as the day a queen fell, but as the day humanity stood alone and refused to break. Later, across many worlds, new stories will be told of a single human who faced impossible darkness, of a species that was called weak, but proved stronger than fear itself. The humans did not rule with terror. They did not conquer with shadows. They survived with courage. And in the quiet space where the queen once ruled, only one truth now remained. Humanity does not run forever. One day it always stands,